Right.
Hello and welcome back to Work Wednesdays. I am Sheen and today we're joined by my friend Lucia. So Lucia, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about veganism.
Perfect, let's get started. So we have some yummy vegan food that Lucia helped us pick today. What is it actually?
It's vegan rice. It's burgers basically, and fries.
Yeah.
Fries, yeah.
It smells delicious. Okay, great. So let's get started.
Yay.
Tell me, Lucia, since when have you been vegan?
I have been vegan for, I think, 6 or 7 years. I'm going to take that one, sorry.
It looks really yummy. 6 or 7 years?
Yeah.
Okay, how did you get started?
Well, actually, it was kind of like, I didn't just decide to go vegan suddenly. I was kind of gradually decided that certain meats I was like, oh, shouldn't be doing that anymore. So I think it was when I was at school, I found out about the environmental impact of beef, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't eat beef, so I stopped eating beef, and then I found out about like how intelligent and social pigs are, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't eat pigs, and then later I found out about the conditions that chickens are kept in, and so then I was like, oh, shouldn't eat chickens either. It just kind of escalated like that, and then I found out about how fish are kept and killed and those kinds of how that all happens and how dairy cows are kept and
Okay, but when you say you found out, was this like personal investigation, or was your school slowly pushing an agenda? What was it?
I think it started with, there was like a big climate thing happening in Copenhagen when I was at school. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think that was when I first started caring about like climate issues. So that's when I looked into the beef thing. And then I think once I stopped eating some kind of meat, then it reduced the barrier, the like mental barrier to finding out more about the other types of animal products. Because by that point, it's a bit less scary to like actually look into what you're doing. Because I think that's one of the things like you just don't really want to know. Yeah. So I think once I stopped eating beef, then I was like more open to finding out more, and then I would like Google about it or watch YouTube videos or read books and stuff. And I read Animal Liberation by Peter Singer, which was one of the things that kind of motivated me, I think.
Oh, nice. So would you say that because you had a reason, like, a very valid reason to stop eating meat, that it was less hard to do it?
This is really good.
This is really good, yeah. I'm like, I don't know, shall I bite into the burger? Shall I go for the chips? Oh, well.
Yeah, I think because it felt like quite a strong reason. I didn't find it that difficult. I think the main barrier is, to begin with, you have to just like all your normal meals you have to change. And I think because I did it gradually, that made it a bit easier, because I would like substitute things for other things. And then when I decided to like properly go vegan, that was like the biggest change, because it's everything, like all the products that are in other things as well, like eggs and milk. So then you really have to start like reading labels and that kind of thing. So that was like a bit of an effort, but it was quite fun, because you're exploring this whole new world of veganism at the same time as obviously stopping eating some things. You're realizing all these other things you can eat is quite fun. So you like Google all these things that you didn't know were vegan that actually are, like Oreos and cakes and cookies and that kind of thing.
Oh, Oreos vegan?
Yeah.
Oh god, thank god. A life without Oreos. Gosh. Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of do the same things, right, with like looking for halal stuff. So you do need to check the ingredients and stuff. But did you find that it was very restrictive? Did you suddenly realize that a lot of things are now not vegan?
Yeah, there were a few things which I like thought, this is a shame, I can't have this anymore. But at the same time, like I got quite excited about learning all the new recipes and finding out about all the things you could have, or like the local vegan restaurants that you hadn't even looked at before and that kind of thing. So yeah, I didn't really find it to be restrictive or anything, and I guess that's partly because of where we live. Like lived in like Cambridge or London and those types of places. There's just like loads of options, and all places you go out to eat have loads of vegan options and everything. So
yeah, I was gonna say at least they will have at least one vegan option and nothing else. So that's not too bad.
And now when they have more than one vegan option, I get really stressed because I'm not used to it. So
I'm not used to choice.
Yeah.
So what's been the most fun recipe that you've tried?
Ooh, fun recipe.
That is very vegan specific. Like I know you made those banana brownies and stuff.
Oh yeah. I love those banana brownies. So one of the things with vegan baking is often you use like an egg substitute, so bananas are one of them. And if you like bananas, then you can make some pretty cool banana brownies.
Yeah, I've made banana pancakes before. They actually taste pretty much the same, I think. That's not too bad. Okay, so tell me more. What's been your experience with, like, when you tell people you're vegan, what kind of reaction do you get?
I think it depends like how it's framed. I think, and also who you're talking to. I think sometimes it can come across as like a judgment on another person.
Yeah.
If you immediately
they take it like, oh, it's an attack to me.
Yeah. Or sometimes people will like offer you food and like you don't want to have it because it's vegan, but you don't know whether to say that it's because you're vegan, because then it's like, does that come across as like confrontational?
I see.
And like, but also, is it rude to reject someone's food and then not give a reason? And it's like having this like internal struggle.
What do I do?
Yeah. But you know, people are usually just pretty curious. Like they'll usually ask questions like, "Oh, why are you vegan?" Or what about, you know, some niche scenarios, or what if you were on an island, and like some fun hypotheticals like that, which can be kind of funny. So I quite like talking about it.
So do you like engaging with this like fun hypothetical situation? Like, oh, if we were in a happy world where all the animals were treated fairly, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I don't mind engaging into these conversations.
I find it quite interesting to talk about that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And also it's cool because it means that the other person is actually thinking about it, which is nice. So
okay.
Yeah.
So, from the sound of it, you became vegan because of the animal rights issue.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And actually, it turns out that the way I went vegan was probably not ideal, because the first things I stopped eating were like the big animals. Whereas actually, if your aim is to reduce animal suffering, then it probably makes sense to not eat the small animals, because...
because I guess it's many small ones will make a meal rather than a...
Yeah, exactly. So like, if you stop eating chicken, you prevent a lot more chicken suffering than if you stop eating a cow, because you don't eat very much of a cow each time you eat a cow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
And also the conditions that chickens are kept in are probably quite a bit worse than the average cow.
Okay, so what would you say?
And fish as well, the same thing, because farmed fish are kept really badly, and you might eat like a whole fish for a meal, or even multiple fish, whereas you would only eat like a small fraction of a cow.
Is this because a lot of it is discarded from the fish?
What do you mean?
Why do you... Oh,
as in like
the portion itself.
Yeah, because the fish is small, so you just eat more fish if you eat fish, I guess.
Okay. So what do you say to the argument that as a singular person, me not eating meat does not really change the system?
Yeah, I guess there's like multiple ways of looking at it. There's like, does you not eating meat have an impact on how many animals are like farmed and killed and that kind of thing? And I think a lot of people assume that it doesn't, but actually it looks like it does. Like there's been research into the actual impact of, if you actually don't buy that chicken or whatever, is less chicken produced? And on average, yes. It's not like a 1-to-1 ratio, but it's like a 1 to 0.75 ratio. Okay. So there is that individual impact on how many animals are like, you know, farmed and killed and that kind of thing. And then there's also the impact you have on, like the wider impact you have on influencing other people and it becoming a norm and that kind of thing. And I think it makes sense to think of that like collective impact as well as the individual impact, because that's why there's like loads of people all over the place reducing their meat intake and like loads of new vegan products and that kind of thing.
Okay, well I'm just saying all the things that I read about, you know, the reasons I know why people go against veganism, right? Yeah. So this is one, the whole individual thing. And then the other one is, but how do I get my protein? What do you say to that?
Such a struggle. Apparently this burger has like 20 grams of protein or 30 grams of protein or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at us, we're going to be dense.
I know. Yeah, I guess it's just not really a problem. Like there's a lot of protein in plant foods, like lentils and beans and chickpeas and all of those things. And obviously there's loads of protein in vegan alternative meats and that.
Yeah.
I think obviously you can have any diet with just low in protein. Like if you just ate pasta and, you know, whatever.
Or chips.
If you just eat chips, yeah. But yeah, I don't think that's really a problem for many people. And a lot of diets that are like naturally predominantly vegetarian that lots of people eat in other parts of the world they'll eat a lot of like lentils and chickpeas and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fine.
So it's not an issue at all. It's just about a change in.
But you do need to supplement B12.
Okay.
That's one thing you do need to supplement because it's not in like vegan foods very much unless they've added it in. But that's one thing that you do need to do.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about veganism, Sheen? Turning the tables.
Good question. Well, clearly I love it. I don't mind it. So obviously we've been talking about this for a while. So because of like my halal issue, I've actually been vegetarian for a lot of the time I was at uni because it's just easier. And I don't miss meat because you get used to it very, very quickly.
Yeah, I was surprised by how quickly. I was one of those people who really, like, it seems crazy thinking about it because it's so long ago, like, really loved meat. Like, I really loved my bacon and my chicken nuggets and cheese and that kind of thing. And maybe I missed it for the first couple months, but after that, you just really don't even, like, see it as food anymore or crave it or anything.
Yeah, you don't think about it.
So
I think people think, at dinner I'll be thinking, if I had a piece of steak right now. But you don't think about it because I think that the key to it for me was to not try and replicate the meal without the meat. It's more, go and venture out and try new stuff that's vegetarian, that's more interesting.
Yeah.
Then you don't compare directly as well.
Yeah.
Going back to your question, I think being vegetarian is not hard for me, but being vegan is hard for me because of the animal products rather than meat. Because eggs and milk and cheese is such a big part of what I eat. And I definitely agree with the whole, it's not ethical and it's not good for the environment, but it's terrible to say, but it's just not a priority at the moment. But I do agree, I hope that one day I can move to that. But I definitely reduce the amount of meat that I eat. For example, I hate chicken. I don't even like the taste of chicken that much. So I don't eat it that much. And following from what you've said about eating bigger animals is actually better, and I do eat maybe beef really rarely, but I don't eat meat that much. And this is terrible to say, but mostly because I hate the whole defrosting.
No, that's such a thing. It's like actually really kind of inconvenient, and also you have to worry about like the germs on the raw meat and the Campylobacter and that kind of thing.
You have to be so careful about all of it, even with fish. So it's easier for me when I have to cook to just make it vegetarian. So that's been okay, and I think it's a good, easy transition for me to be vegetarian at the moment. And then have meat once in a while, maybe when I go out when I don't have to cook it. And then maybe
a lot of people find that as well. Also, if they're like eating with another person or at another person's house, like that's when they find it's better to be flexible.
The exception. So that's why I was trying to learn from you to see how you made the transition, because I would like to do it at some point. Well, what would be your advice for people who are trying to make the switch?
So I think it depends on the person. I think, like you're saying, some people find it better if they just find like foods that are like naturally vegetarian in themselves that they really enjoy. But some people find it really helpful to use have substitutes. Like they're not going to stop craving a burger, so they'd love to have like a big burger. So I think for some people, exploring those other substitutes, like even like oat milk and whatever kind of milk, and I
actually tried coconut milk and I really liked it. Because I tried almond milk and I didn't like it, and then I tried coconut milk, especially in my porridge, and I was like, this is refreshing.
It's quite a lot creamier, the coconut milk.
So I think in terms of these substitutes, not too bad, but I think when I say that I like milk, eggs and cheese, it's more about, cake and stuff like that, which becomes difficult, rather than if I just have to take milk, I don't mind soy milk and stuff like that.
So then I suppose it's all these things that make it easier, like the fact that if you go to, I don't know, Costa or Starbucks, there's like vegan cakes there now, and that kind of thing.
So I think the more there is an effort to make it inclusive, more people would actually make the switch, isn't it?
Like I know loads of people who eat the Greg's vegan sausage rolls who aren't vegan or vegetarian. They're just
I do too.
It's right there, so why not? It's pretty cool.
Okay. And so how do you see the vegan movement changing in the next few years? Are you hopeful?
I think people's moral circles only expand. So I think like as I think people just become more and more aware that like animals have moral importance, and I think more people will include them when making decisions about what they eat and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that I'm very optimistic. And then the other thing is that the like plant food, vegan substitute type of industry is growing and getting really good, and so there'll be a time when it's even just like way cheaper and way more convenient to buy either like a cell grow, like a meat made from cell grown things, whatever they're called, or just like good substitutes and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm very optimistic about the future.
Nice. You know, I had one of those burgers where they put beetroot juice inside so it looks like it's bleeding. Yeah. I found that very weird.
Disturbing. I find that sometimes now when I get like a vegan burger that's too meaty, I'm like, I'm not sure I like this anymore.
I don't want it. Yeah, but when it was like, oh, it's to recreate, you know, the juice when the blood is, and I was like, but I don't like this in real beef either. Okay. Okay, final question. You know how a lot of people, their argument is also that, oh, but do animals have feelings? How do you explain this to them?
Yeah, so I think we can't say conclusively that anybody other than ourselves has feelings. Like, I can't really tell for sure that you feel pain and suffer. Like, you say you do, but how do I really know?
All right, Dr. Lucia.
But, like, I think it's the same with animals. Like, when you do something to an animal that would cause pain in a human, they react in a similar way to a human. Okay. Including, like, fish or chickens or animals that are, like, look quite different from us. And I think in the same way that we can't be sure that another human actually feels the same way, like we can't be sure that another animal does, but they're responding in the same way. They respond to pain, they respond to painkillers, they respond with stress hormones, their behaviours change in the same way as ours do. So I think it just makes sense to assume that they do and to act on the safe side, because their nervous systems are so similar, their brains are so similar. Yeah. Okay. So I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, but the bigger problem is more the treatment of animals, right? That's what we need to solve, and we can actually solve.
Yeah. Well, as opposed to the killing of animals. Like, do you mean the way they're treated when they're farmed, or?
Yeah. So, what would you say out of everything? Because obviously there are different levels of issues here, right? There's the inhumane killing. There's the killing itself in the first place. And then there's the rearing, the farming, and all of that. So what do you think is the one lever of change that will be the one that we should focus on because it will bring about the most impact?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I think, like, in an ideal world, I think we would treat animals a lot more similarly to how we treat humans, and we wouldn't think it's okay to cage them and farm them and slaughter them and that kind of thing. But I think probably a lot of the suffering comes from the way that they live, and like the conditions they're kept in and the practices that are done to them and that kind of thing. But I wouldn't want to say, oh, it would be okay if we treated them more humanely to also like slaughter them and that kind of thing, because I think that there aren't really humane methods of slaughter, and I also am not sure that even if there were. Okay, so say you have an animal who's having a really happy life and you're killing it in a really humane way. If it's having a happy life, then why did you decide that is the end? Why is it okay to kill it? Like, I think with humans, when we think about is it okay to end a human's life, it's like in very extreme circumstances when we're doing it to prevent suffering. Yeah. Like, withdrawal of treatment in like a life support. Yeah, that kind of thing. And I think we should be considering it a bit closer to that. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's this like thing about speciesism.
Yeah, we feel like our species is okay, the others are not. Yeah.
Or we even feel like, dogs, it matters how we treat dogs, and we wouldn't want to kill dogs. Yeah, because
we have pets, and then we have animals that we eat. Yeah. And then we have animals that we're scared of. It's just very different things, isn't it? Yeah, I remember this. I had this conversation. Would you eat your dog if it had a happy life and it died of natural causes?
Yeah, I think happy life and natural causes is like a pretty ideal way. If you're gonna eat an animal,
might as well.
That would be the one. But yeah, but then again, it's like also if you do think of animals in the same way that you think of members of your own species, even that doesn't feel quite right. Because, yeah. I mean, you could say I would eat a human that had a happy life and died of natural causes. But you probably wouldn't really particularly want to because you just don't see it as food at that point. Is this getting too weird? I don't know.
Yeah, and then there's
I'm
also,
always drawing these analogies in my head. I don't know if other people do
but
that.
then there's also the other like dilemma here, right? Like how do you assess happiness of a person? How can you decide if their life was happy or not? It's just it gets very twisted.
Yeah.
But no, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start making the move to animal products maybe.
Nice.
And
yeah, I can give you some good recommendations of things to try. Yeah.
Like you remember we had those nuggets at yours? They were delicious.
Yeah, they were really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Sweet.
Let's start in small steps.
Yeah.
Great. We haven't eaten our burgers yet.
I know, it's because it's not an easy thing to eat.
It's a bit messy. I tried. Well, thank you for being here, Lucia.
Yeah, thanks.
And we'll have you on again maybe to talk about EA a bit.
Yeah.
Effective altruism.
That would be cool.
Yes. And if you want, you can check out the podcast that Lucia did with me as well, an episode on her charity called Leap. Do you want to plug Leap in a bit?
Yeah. I run a global health policy charity focused on reducing childhood lead exposure. It's called Lead Exposure Elimination Project. If you're interested in that as a thing, then you can check it out on leadelimination.org.
Perfect. I'll put the link in the description box.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you. See you soon. Bye.